right, we're gonna move on to finishing up the login function on our back end, okay? As you can see, we're doing pretty good in terms of completion of developer tasks for this user account creation feature. All right, we're now working on the users can log in. We're gonna try to wrap this up in this video, okay? So we are going to create a verify password function. That's purpose is to compare the password from the database that's already hashed with the password that is passed in from the user, okay? And we are going to actually, other than returning a fake token and console logging the DTO, we're actually gonna fill out this login function so that way it verifies that first the user exists and then that their password is correct and that it matches the one in the database, and then it returns a JWT, okay? So I'm gonna kind of pseudocode this out a little bit. All right, so the first thing we wanna do is we want to check that user exists. The next thing that we wanna do is verify that passwords match. And then we want to create and return an access token. Okay? So if the user doesn't exist, throw unauthorized error. Okay? If the passwords don't match, we also want to throw an unauthorized error. Okay? So that's kind of our workflow that we're going with here. So we're going to first check if the user exists. Well, we can actually already do that, all right? We can go ahead and look up the user by the username, all right? We're not specifically going to like check the length and make sure it's greater than 0 because we want, I guess we could, right? But we are going to want to get the user's password out of there, okay? So we're gonna say const user is equal to await this dot user service dot find user by username, and then we're gonna pass in the login DTO dot username. All right, so that's gonna give us our user. Okay, so let's first go ahead and console log the user. All right, so let's go over to our login. All right, we could do it from here or we could do it from our Postman. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and first refresh this and see what all my users are, okay? This is a good point that I don't really remember any of my passwords, so we might need to create one first, okay? So let's go ahead and, because I don't know if I can guess the random passwords I've been doing, so let's sign up. So we're going to, let's do Mickey Mouse. Except, is Mickey Mouse already in our database? He is. I'm gonna delete him so that way we don't have an issue with creating a new one. We're gonna call him Mickey Mouse and just make his password super easy to remember. All right, we have created your account. Nice. All right, so now let's go ahead and go to login, and we're gonna log in Mickey Mouse, and his password is just test. Okay, so I should, when I click submit, I'm hopeful that it's gonna go get Mickey Mouse's data from the database and send it back to me and log it in the back end. All right, so welcome back, Mickey Mouse. That's pretty exciting. And we got our Mickey Mouse here. As you can see, his password is hashed, okay? So let's go ahead and not worry about this if the user doesn't exist quite yet. Let's just follow down the route that we like. All right, so we wanna verify that the passwords match. All right, so I'm gonna make a separate function for that, okay? I'm gonna call this verify passwords, password. I'm just gonna call it verify passwords, okay? So we're gonna type in input. Let's do entered password. And then we're going to do existing password. And then both of these are going to be strings. All right. And then I'm going to use bcrypt here. So I'm going to say return await bcrypt dot compare, because I'm going to compare the two passwords using bcrypt. Okay. And then I'm going to compare the entered password with the existing password. All right. So bcrypt is going to give me true or false here. Okay. So I'm going to say const passwords match equals await verify password, and then I'm going to pass in the entered password is going to be login dto.password, and then the existing password is going to be equal to user dot password. Password does not exist. Oh, because it's going to be an array. So we're going to do well, we should have done, okay, so like what I'm thinking about here, why I'm pausing, is because we're saying find by, so we should do find one by here instead, because that is going to give us the, like, you should only have one with the username, right? But that is the same thing as just doing this 0 here. But I think we should edit it. Okay, so find one by, find one by. Okay, so here const username exists, await user service, find username by username. Okay, so we pass in our username, so that should just be, we should be able to do like dot username. Okay, so then we should be able to do dot email. Okay, and then we should be able to do here just this. Okay, and then let's go ahead and console log passwords match, and then okay, I might want to rename that, but let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to log in, and then we should also test to make sure our sign-in still works as expected. So Mickey Mouse, let's put in Mickey Mouse's password. All right, and passwords match true. That's awesome. So I go to projects. Okay, so now if I type in Mickey Mouse and I just do something random, I should get passwords match false. Perfect, okay? But not perfect on my front end, right? Because I am returning fake token regardless, okay? So we now need to do this part of our code. If not passwords match, right? Then we need to throw new unauthorized exception. And in that we can add a message if we want, and we can say incorrect password. We don't have to as well, because there's really no, I'm not going to tell the user that they got a correct username, but they didn't get a correct password, right? Because that would help someone who's trying to hack us. So I'm just going to throw an unauthorized error. All right. Let's go ahead and try it now. So Mickey Mouse, random password, type in, submit. There was a error logging into your account. Please try again. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. But now let's try Mickey Mouse, and let's do the correct password. And welcome back, Mickey Mouse. Redirect to projects page. Awesome. Okay, so this is pretty good in terms of it functions the way we want it to, right? But that doesn't allow us to, we want to be able to, if someone types in something that doesn't exist, right? And a password that doesn't exist, it's going to error, right? But here it's like it can't read properties of password. We're getting a weird error here. So we want instead to be able to throw an error specifically to like what's happening, which is that the user doesn't exist. So that way, when our application's in production, we know what's going on. So what we would actually do here is we'd throw the error, but we would also add a log saying that someone tried to log in with a username that doesn't exist. Okay, so we're going to say if not user, right? The user doesn't exist. Then we're going to throw our unauthorized exception. Because if a user doesn't exist, they also can't authorized. So random, we get our error here, and user is null. Okay? So I'm not sure if, now I'm wanting to console log that just to make sure I'm doing the right. Okay, yes, so not user for null works too. Okay, so we threw our unauthorized exception error. Let's check it on the front end to make sure that that is what's happening. So let's console log this error. All right, so we are going to go ahead and let's do, so when we console log this error here, we should get unauthorized. Ooh, we get bad request. Oh, no, we get unauthorized. Okay, unauthorized 401. Now if we try, we do have the user, but we are just doing the wrong password. Let's get rid of this. Then we also get unauthorized error. All right, and our error on toast. All right, so this is pretty good. Let's go ahead and go back to our sign-in page though, because we want to make sure that when we do our sign-up page, we want to make sure that this correctly handles our case of, let's go and look on the back end. All right, so we want to say if username already exists. So let's try to create an account with Mickey Mouse because that user already exists. So we want to submit. We were not able to create your account. Please try again. Okay, so let's go ahead and it should have a message in the error request with username already exists. So let's go ahead and log on the front end. So that is the benefit of adding to the errors like a message, is that when you log them on the front end, you can see what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and console.log. Nope, not in the request because that's if it successfully happened. We want to do the error. All right, so we want to do Mickey Mouse. Submit. All right, now let's go look in our error, and username already exists. All right, so now let's do Mickey Mouse, but let's do Mickey Mouse's email is the same, but just a random username. Oh, password's must. That's a good point. Look at us. We're validating ourselves out of being able to easily test. All right, and then click submit, and then our error response should be response data message internal server error reading username. All right, so I'm thinking this has to do with, because if username exists, find the user. So let's go ahead and they're having a hard time reading username because the username doesn't exist here. What if I add this? So now let's try this again. So we're doing a username that doesn't exist, but the email does exist. All right, response. Data, email already exists. All right, perfect. So we can head over to our user stories. We created the verify password function. We created the login function, but it does not correctly return a JWT yet. So that is going to be the part that we work on next. All right, I am going to take my pseudocode out, although if it's helpful to leave yours in, go ahead. All right, so now instead of returning a fake token, we need to actually create and return a real token. But luckily, we already have a create access token function. This is the reason why we're separating several of our functions out, is so we can use them in other places. So I'm going to want to just do return await this dot create access token. And what is create access token user? All right, so now let's go ahead and we want to do log in. We're going to do Mickey Mouse, put in his password, welcome back Mickey, and then we want to go look in our local storage, and yep, we see our token. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this token, and I'm going to open up Postman for our user details. And I'm going to paste that in and then click send, and we see that we have Mickey Mouse's token. So everything works as it should, okay? So just to go over the login function one more time, we are first looking up the user, okay? If the user doesn't exist, then we're going to throw an error, an unauthorized exception, okay? Then we are going to, so I'm going to just add this for our own purposes if we log in the front end. So user name does not exist. That's going to help me when I go back and add logging, and on the back end, I can add a log there, okay? Then I can go ahead and see whether or not passwords match by comparing the password that was passed in on the form to the password that exists on the user's account. If they don't exist, then we will throw an exception, and I'm going to say incorrect password here for my error message. All right, and then I'm going to create an access token and return it to the user, which will then get saved on the front end in the local storage. All right, so now we can go ahead and say that yes, we created the login function, and yes, we have an error toast for logs. All right, our first user story is completely finished, so I'm going to go ahead and move it over to done. I will be working on the photo portion of the sign up route in a little bit, so that's why this users can create an account is not done. But we also, next video, we'll look into how to have a user log out. All right, thanks for watching.